NS the greatest companion lone traveler was on the way to a distant town. He looked for at least one companion, but got none. As he passed by an inn, he saw an old man seated on the veranda. "What is your destination?" the traveler asked the old man. The old man told them his destination WHCH was situated in the direction opposite to the traveler's destination. The traveler sighed with disappointment. "Siv," asked the old man. "I would have been happy to get a companion. I am afraid of rogues and bandits on the way," replied the traveler. The old man laughed. "I am old and weak," he said. "Yet I am alone on my long journey, without the least fear." "Why should you fear danger?" "I am truly surprised," said the traveler. "How do you dare to take the risk of long journey?" "I derive my courage from the Lord. He is with me. He can be a / also with you if you depend on him. Who can be a better companion than he?" asked the old man. "Rogues. He will, if you pray to him with complete trust in him." The old man's words gave the traveler courage. He saluted him and resumed walking. He kept thinking of God and praying to him. He felt happy and did not feel the need for any companion. It was late in the afternoon. The traveler was passing by a hill when suddenly someone sprang up before him. "The fell will he save me from?" 24 Lo held a dagger. A look at him told the traveler that the fellow was a rogue of the most vicious kind. The traveler quietly took out his purse and handed it over to the fellow. "Get ready to die," said the rogue. "Must you kill me even though I have given you all the money I had?" asked the traveler, quite surprised. "I must kill you, because have not killed anybody since day before yesterday, and if I let you pass, I may not see another traveler today. For heaven's sake, man, one have done nothing to deserve death in your hand. If you suspect that I have still something valuable with me, you can search me," said the traveler. "I'll search you after killing you. There is no use pleading with me for your life. If you have any other wish, you can tell me," said the rogue, proud that he had the power to do whatever he liked with the helpless traveler. The traveler understood that he had fallen into the hands of a rogue who was possessed by the devil. The fellow murdered for sake of murder. "Any last wish?" asked the rogue once again. "Yes. I'll like to drink some water. I do not wish to die thirsty. The river is just here." "Come on," said the rogue, and he made the traveler walk ahead of him. The traveler did not lose his faith in God. But he asked him silently, "How are you going to save me?" "Ne'er mind if you cannot. But kindly see to it that I do not suffer while dying." The two reached the river. The traveler stooped and drank from it. Then he lay down, his eyes closed. He was sure that there was no chance for God to save him. He had no strength or the skill to fight. Not a soul was around who could come to his rescue. The rogue sat crouching, his back towards the river. He raised his dagger to finish off the poor traveler. But he had no time to bring the dagger down. A crocodile that had stealthily crawled up snapped him up and rushed back into the river. The traveler opened his eyes and sat up when he heard the splash. He saw the crocodile diving with the rogue clamped between his jaws. He thanked God and said, "Indeed, my Lord, you are the greatest companion. No situation is beyond your control, it is never too late for you." Unsolved mysteries hanged thrice and yet alive. It was a winter night of 1863. The city of Sydney was all asleep. Suddenly a big noise was heard outside a bank. A constable on the night beat was being attacked by 3 robbers who had stolen a bag of gold and silver coins. By the time help arrived, the thieves had escaped, leaving behind a dead constable. After a thorough combing of the area, the police of Sydney, Australia, arrested Joseph Samuels. Some of the stolen coins were found in his pocket. He was a man already on their blacklist. They charged him with the murder of the constable and promptly put him behind bars. By the time he was produced before the criminal court judge, Joseph Samuels was a subdued man and confessed, under police threat, his guilt. He was sentenced to be hanged. In the meanwhile, the police had arrested Isaac Simmons, an accomplice of Joseph Samuels. As it was difficult to get any confession out of him, the police chief thought of frightening him into confession, by making him witness the cruel death of his colleague, Joseph Samuels. So, on the morning of the execution, Samuels stood up on the death cart and delivered a short speech. He narrated the whole incident of the robbery of the bank and also the events that led to the murder of the constable. He finished his speech with the sentence, "The actual murderer is standing in front of me." The spectators were startled and stared at Isaac Simmons. They shouted that he should be in the hangman's noose instead of Samuels. But the guards managed to hold back the crowd, and the noose was fastened round the condemned man's neck. Then the hangman drove the death cart, leaving Samuels to dangle and die. Nothing happened. Joseph Samuels dangled for a second and then fell flat on his face. The rope had given away. The hangman quickly arranged for a new rope and the magistrate ordered the hanging for a second time. This time, the rope began to tune wind, strand by strand, and Samuels again fell on the ground without the noose suffocating him to death. The spectators became still more restless and shouted, "Release him! It is God's will that he should be saved." For the third time Samuels was being hung on a new rope. And for the third time he fell on his face, the rope having snapped this time just over his head. The incident was reported to the governor. He issued a reprieve. Joseph Samuels was free. A thorough examination of the rope showed no sign of any tampering with it. On the contrary, it was found that the rope was capable of bearing the weight of 390 pounds hung from it. Even a single strand of the rope could have normally held that weight. Yet, the rope had broken thrice under the weight of Joseph Samuels. After Samuels was set free, the trial reopened and it was proved that Isaac Simmons was the murderer. Thrice Samuels was hanged, and thrice saved. What strange powers intervene in the affairs of man, sometimes.